Ship's Company, Lieutenant Hutt, report.
All hands present, count for.
Very well. Will the guests please rise for the arrival of the official party? Now Lieutenant Junior Grade, United States Coast Guard arriving. Hand salute. Ready, two. Now Blackfin arriving. Hand salute. Ready, two. Now Lieutenant Commander, United States Coast Guard arriving. Hand salute. Ready, two. Now Sector Los Angeles, Long Beach arriving. Hand salute. Ready, two. Ladies and gentlemen, presentation of colors and national anthem. Hand salute. Colors, post. Ready, two. Chaplain Darrell Wesley will now offer the invocation. Personnel in uniform remain covered. Chaplain Wesley.
God, we call down your abiding spirit who allows us to behold your eternal majesty in our time of need. That you will this day affect the continuity of tradition and authority for United States Guard Cutter Blackfin. In so doing, we acknowledge that all authority comes from you. May that spirit be commingled with the spirit of the organization as it sets out to accomplish all that it does in service to your holy will. Bless today Lieutenant Brian Whistler as he entrusts this command to Lieutenant J.G. Stephen Baldowski. And may each of them be guided by divine wisdom and prosper in the years to follow. May under this command be equally blessed to carry out their vital mission by the leadership with which you now appoint over them. Grant to our Coast Guard men and women, those standing here in ranks or absence because even now they are performing their duties, whether as guarantors of the environment or security of our borders, or as saviors of human life, may we continue to render service that is the pride of this nation. Bless us now, come and give us divine visitation. This is our prayer. We offer in your name. Amen.
Welcome to the change of command ceremony for United States Coast Guard Cutter Blackfin. I'm BM1 Albert Mitchell, Blackfin's Executive Petty Officer. Change of command ceremony is a time-honored tradition which formally restates the officers and crew of the unit, the continuity of command. Deeply rooted in Coast Guard history, this formal ritual is unique among the armed forces and publicly underscores the distinctive nature of command in the United States Coast Guard. The occasion ensures all hands know of a shift in authority and a duly commissioned officer is placed in charge. It signifies the transfer of total responsibility, accountability, and authority from one individual to another. It marks the end of a segment of the command's history, but most importantly, it signals a new beginning, a new opportunity for even greater achievements in the future. The ceremony requires that all hands come to muster at the time of the ceremony. Over the years, it has also become customary for the commanding officer and crew to invite guests to share in the event. The crew is pleased you were able to join us today, and we thank you for being here. At this point in the ceremony, the prospective commanding officer, in company with the current commanding officer, conducts a personnel inspection of the ship's crew. Ship's company, 10, hut.
Ship's company, one step forward, march. Ship's company, one step to the rear, march.
Ship's company, parade, rest. We're pleased to have with us today Captain Roger LaFerrier, Commander, Coast Guard, Sector Los Angeles, Long Beach. Captain LaFerrier.
Oh, look at that. Good morning. How's everybody doing? What a great day it is, huh? Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the surrounding Santa Barbara community and our interagency partners, I'd like to especially welcome Karen and Doug Crawford from the Navy League. Where are you? I know you're here. It's good to have you. Good to have you, Doug. Lieutenant Brian Whistler's family, his wife Tiffany. Where are you? Hi, Tiffany. Taking pictures, I see. It's good to have you here. His parents, Bob and Len, could you raise your hands? Awesome. His grandparents, Robert and Marilyn Roberts. Thanks for being here. That's wonderful for you to be here. Very important day. His sister, Kim. Hi, Kim. And her husband, Josh Foster. You sure you're not related to him? Look how big you are. Unbelievable. And for Lieutenant J.D. Baldowski's parents, James and Marie, welcome. Glad you could be here. It's a great honor to have you all here, especially during these economic times. I know it's not easy to get out here to be with your family, but it signifies, your presence signifies the devotion you have to these two fine young officers. And I'm convinced when you have that kind of devotion and that kind of support, that these officers will go on and achieve great things within the Coast Guard, because that is the foundation of all of our successes, is our families. So before I go any further, I'd like to give you all a round of applause for being here and also supporting these fine officers. Thank you. And also all other members of the Coast Guard family. I still have yet to know a lot of you because I just came on board yesterday myself. And of course to the crew of the Coast Guard Cutter Blackfin. Good morning and welcome to today's Change of Command. We are here to witness. Can everybody hear me? I got to move this up there, Mitchell. Wait till your CEO comes here. It's going to go even further up. All right, let's try that. See if that works. We're all here to witness as Lieutenant Junior Grade Steve Baldowski relieves Lieutenant Brian Whistler as Commanding Officer of Coast Guard Cutter Blackfin. Blackfin was commissioned on May 4, 2000, and is an 87-foot coastal patrol boat. Blackfin was named after a USS Blackfin, a submarine whose crew distinguished itself during sustained action in the South Pacific during World War II. Blackfin is the 17th ship of the Marine Protector class and one of the Coast Guard's most capable and versatile maritime assets. Our nation depends on these patrol boats and their dedicated crews to keep our maritime domain, its mariners, recreational boaters, and all who set sail in our ports and waterways safe and secure. I want to commend Lieutenant Whistler and his crew for helping to write another significant chapter in the history of this fine cutter. During your 2 years in command, Blackfin has brilliantly met the challenges presented to her and set some impressive operational benchmarks. We in the Coast Guard often forget that our true mission is about people. It's about the people of the United States, about protecting them and safeguarding their interests. And the Blackfin has been an excellent example of that. It has had great successes in finding drug smugglers off the coast of Mexico. Blackfin conducted 6 counter-drug patrols off of Mexican waters and actively participated in joint U.S. and Mexican Coast Guard drug interdiction exercises. Your efforts were rewarded with 3 drug busts, including the recovery of over 10,000 pounds of marijuana, worth an estimated value of $30 million. Let's give them a hand for that. That's awesome. And from the heart, I can tell you, with 2 wonderful teenagers at home who often constantly tell me that they're confronted with the druggies at school, you have my personal thanks, and I'm sure the thanks of millions of other American parents who have young children as well. Closer to home, Blackfin has been active enforcing safety regulations and protecting our coastal fisheries. Blackfin completed over 380 boardings at sea on commercial and recreational vessels. This included the termination of over 40 unsafe voyages by various vessels, ensuring that they return safely to port. This saves lives in the process. The fishing vessel industry is one of the most dangerous occupations in the United States. Your efforts have allowed sailors to return home safely to their families. Blackfin rigorously conducted joint patrols in the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary with California Fish and Game. Are they here today? Anybody from California? Okay. Which resulted in the seizure of nearly 90,000 pounds of squid. Boy, that must have been a stinky ride. And 1,000 pounds of Pacific sardines from a fishing vessel found illegally fishing within Carrington Point Marine Reserve. This is important, especially in our day and age, where our country is struggling with hard economic times, that you have ensured that our merchants of the sea are entitled to the fair and free trade on the high seas that we have been doing for over 218 years. And when mariners were in trouble, Blackfin answered the call. When the sailing vessel Freudian lost propulsion and became disabled 90 nautical miles west of Los Angeles, Blackfin was able to skillfully locate the vessel and, despite difficult sea conditions, place the vessel in tow and safely return her to port for repairs. Blackfin rescued 32 passengers and crew from the dive boat Vision after the vessel lost its rudder and began taking on water near San Nicolas Island. Blackfin's crew quickly assessed the situation, deployed a rescue and assistance team, and completed temporary repairs. And finally, I wanted to mention the search and rescue case involving the overdue fishing vessel Wild Thing. Operating in adverse weather with limited communications, Blackfin successfully located the vessel 250 nautical miles offshore of Point Conception. That's a long haul. While it was discovered that the vessel was motoring without its autopilot engaged and without its master on board, your efforts provided some much-needed closure for the family of the missing fishermen. Blackfin has also brought great credit to the Coast Guard through its public fairs and outreach efforts. Most notably, Blackfin and its crew were active participants in several community service projects, including the Rose Festival in Portland, Oregon, where they proudly represented the Coast Guard and gave thousands of tours during the 10-day event. Lieutenant Whistler, you have set a pretty high bar for the other sector units, and I applaud your accomplishments and those of your crew. Today completes a highly successful tour of duty by you as Commanding Officer of Coast Guard Cutter Blackfin. Now, if you would please join me at the podium, I would like to formally recognize you for your outstanding accomplishments.
Citation to accompany the award, Coast Guard Commendation Medal, Gold Star in lieu of a second, to Lieutenant Brian Whistler, United States Coast Guard. Lieutenant Whistler is cited for outstanding achievement while serving as Commanding Officer, Coast Guard Cutter Blackfin, from July 2007 to July 2009. Demonstrating superior leadership and professional competence, he executed more than 400 maritime law enforcement boardings, finding 282 violations, terminating 40 unsafe voyages, and ensuring the safety of Southern California's commercial and recreational mariners. His operational expertise and tenacity were clearly evident during 7 deployments in support of focused counter-drug operations off the coast of Mexico. Leading his crew during 3 high-speed pursuits of go-fast smuggling vessels, he successfully interdicted more than 10,400 pounds of marijuana with an estimated value of $34 million. He expertly responded to 8 search and rescue cases, including the recreational dive vessel Vision, when it suffered a rudder casualty and began taking on water 70 miles offshore. Arriving on scene, he quickly dispatched a team to the water the vessel, evacuated 32 passengers to Coast Guard Cutter Blackfin, and then towed the vessel safely back to port. Displaying an unwavering commitment to protecting the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, he greatly expanded law enforcement operations to combat illegal fishing in this critical marine habitat. When he located the fishing vessel Caligari A in a marine protected area, he boarded the vessel and seized nearly 100,000 pounds of squid and sardines worth more than $31,000. Lieutenant Whistler's dedication, judgment, and devotion to duty are most heartily commended, are in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Coast Guard. The operational distinguishing device is authorized.
We also have something else for our lieutenant. U.S. Department of Homeland Security, United States Coast Guard, the certified certificate attests that Lieutenant Brian Whistler has comfortably served in the Coast Guard cutter fleet for more than 5 years and is hereby designated a cutterman, United States Coast Guard. 5th day, July 2009. Congratulations. Lieutenant Whistler, good luck as you head off to join our congressional affairs staff in the nation's capital. We wish you fair winds and following seas. You have my thanks for an excellent job well done. We look forward to hearing about your future successes in Washington, D.C. Just try not to bring too many congressmen this way. And I just came from there, so I can tell you it's not that all bad, but you'll just need to learn to ride the D.C. Metro. It's quite different than the Blackfin. To the incoming commanding officer, Lieutenant Moldowski, today is the beginning of a challenging and exciting new assignment. But it's, in my opinion, one of the best jobs there is, command of a patrol boat and the world's best Coast Guard. You will take charge of a cutter and crew that will be involved in an extraordinarily wide range of missions that will continually test and challenge all of your skills, training, and endurance. In fact, I just came from the Marine War College where I did a presentation to the Coast Guard to my fellow Marine officers. Many of them are heroes that marched on to Baghdad and Afghanistan, people who I truly respect. And after the presentation, I talked about 87 footer, and they said, well, that must be a lieutenant commander in charge of that. And I said, no, it's to Lieutenant JG, and they were totally named. These are Marine Corps officers who led the charge on the Baghdad. So this is quite a distinction for you to have this responsibility. Of course, with that responsibility, both our service and our nation and our public will hold you accountable for your performance, and we will be sure that you'll do a great job. But know this, that you are not alone as you assume command. I strongly encourage you to reach out to your fellow skippers. Some are here in the audience today. Blacktip, halibut, narwhal stand ready to assist you with their lessons learned and best practices. Despite a little rivalry action going there, I'm sure there'll be that support. Right, guys? Right? Okay, I've seen a thumbs up. All right. You can also count on the support of my sector staff, who will give you and your crew the best support possible. If not, you got my phone number, so give me a call. I encourage you to be ever mindful of our core values: honor, respect, and devotion to duty. Keep them at the center of your thoughts and actions. Most importantly, I charge you to take care of your crew. Make them your top priority. Prepare the future of the Coast Guard. Guide them, teach them, keep them safe, but most of all, challenge them to find and develop the excellence that is truly within each one of them. I know that you will continue to build upon the great work of your predecessor, and that Blackfin will continue to be a major contributor to the successes of the Coast Guard. I look forward to working together with you over the course of your tour. Finally, Lieutenant J.G. Ladowski and the crew of the Blackfin, I just want to read some excerpts from our founding father, and I read this yesterday at my change of command, so some of you guys might have heard this already. But I think this is important. Our founding father, for those that don't know this, is Alexander Hamilton. He's also one of the founding fathers of our nation. And when he was putting this revenue cutter service together, he wrote a letter of instruction, and to this day is one of the most detailed letter of instructions ever written to any military organization in the United States. So I'm going to read not all the letter, but some excerpts from that letter. While I recommend in the strongest terms to the respective officers to pay attention to the qualities he's mentioning here, because I think they apply today, even 215 years later. While I recommend in the strongest terms to respective officers activity, action, vigilance, and firmness, I feel no less solicitude that their deportment, manner, may be marked with prudence, moderation, and good temper. You must always keep in mind your countrymen are free men, and as such are impatient of everything that bears the least mark of a domineering spirit. Therefore, you must endeavor to overcome any difficulties, if any are experienced, by a cool and temperate perseverance in your duty, by communication and by moderation. So I ask you to heed our founding fathers' words, written so many years ago, and execute your missions with vigilance and firmness, but also with prudence and a cool disposition. God bless Blackfin. God bless the U.S. Coast Guard. God bless the United States of America. Semper Paratus.
The Navy League is the most dedicated civilian advocate for the U.S. Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and U.S. flagged merchant marine. Headquartered just outside our nation's capital, a major part of the Navy League's vital mission is educating the public, local and national elected officials, and policymakers about the importance of maintaining strong and effective maritime forces. Navy League's nonpartisan advocacy programs deliver critical information about the needs of the sea services and its men and women in uniform throughout the halls of Congress, with Sea Service program briefings for members of Congress and key staff. The annual Maritime Policy Statement highlights the needs of each of the sea services to ensure that they have the proper training and equipment to carry out their critical mission. The Navy League's monthly magazine, Sea Power, provides news and in-depth articles that focus on the important role of the U.S. Sea Services to the defense of our nation. Whether at home or abroad, the Navy League provides support to our men and women of the sea services around the world. Local councils adopt ships and units, providing morale and welfare support and assistance to their crews and their families. Navy League's prestigious awards recognize outstanding individuals for their leadership and accomplishments within the sea services and maritime industry, promoting leadership, professionalism, and morale. Homecoming ceremonies and ship visits are special events organized and sponsored by local councils, as are ship christenings and unit commissionings. With the help of individual and corporate members, the sea services become integrated into the local communities they serve and protect. In addition to providing support today to the men and women serving at home and abroad, the Navy League always looks to the future, to today's young people and tomorrow's leaders. Scholarship programs provide financial assistance to the dependents and direct descendants of sea service personnel. And Navy League-supported youth programs, such as the Naval Sea Cadet Corps and Navy and Marine Corps Junior ROTC, give thousands of young people the opportunity to develop leadership skills, test their limits, and perhaps prepare for a career in one of the sea services. The need for a strong, vital sea service, recognized by Theodore Roosevelt in 1902, is no less today. The challenges facing our nation have never been greater. More than 100 years later, the Navy League continues to answer the call. Your support makes a difference to our men and women of the sea services who serve today and will serve tomorrow in support of American sea power. As one Secretary of the Navy said, "The sun never sets on the Navy League."